Ellen.
I love that song so much, and it was so funny because for the longest time I never listened to the lyrics. And when I started listening to the lyrics, I started loving that song more and more. And now it's like, whenever I hear the song, it's like, wow, it's a sign. And I really wanted to play that song because, you know, when I heard the story of Selen and Toni, I mean, I really sort of like, I sort of felt like it was a bit, you know, like such a supernatural, not a normal story, that I really believe, you know, that when you guys are going to hear their story, you're also going to feel that there's more possible than we believe to be true out there. And so, yeah, Ellen, you heard the story because I told you about it, and you were like, and you felt something when we were talking to them. What did you feel when we were talking to them about interviewing them?
Yeah, like an expanding heart, like a explosion in my heart, and yeah, like my analytical mind switched off. I didn't really wasn't able to sort of listen with logic. It was just like the words were intertwined with feeling or something, and it just, yeah,
wonder.
Yeah, it wasn't like I wasn't trying to figure it out, but I just felt it, and it was just very powerful, and I didn't want them to stop talking, either of them. Yeah, so it was amazing.
So I will say how I came up with this idea. So basically, a lot of you know that we are Dr. Joe students, and we run these coherence group healings. And one day our beautiful Selen here was the host. We have a group of hosts that, you know, that run these coherence healings every Monday. And she was inspired to interview Toni about what happened in her life. And I was just listening, not expecting much, because I've seen like, you know, 300, 400 videos about healings with the Dr. Joe students. And so I was like, okay, what is coming next? But basically when Toni spoke, I felt like what you felt, Ellen. It was like an energy surge. And I think I felt possibility. It felt like everything that I didn't believe for myself, because of hearing Toni speak, I started believing it for myself. And that was so powerful, because I know that the disease that she healed herself from is not like, nobody will say, oh, that's a normal disease, tons of people are healing from it. Actually, to the contrary. So that alone was inspiring, but what was so inspiring was the way that Toni spoke, because we've been studying being the epigenetic engineer of our own body. You are the placebo, break the habit of being yourself, becoming supernatural. And then we delve into all these different modalities like theta healing, Reiki, EMDR. You know, we do everything under the sun to heal, you know, all our afflictions. But how she was speaking was really talking about, I think, the psychology, the things that we can do, that we have under control, that will affect the healing process. And that's why I was so like, when she spoke, I was like, oh my God, I need to interview you. I need to actually dissect what you're doing. So, and then of course, we also know that Selen is like a wonder. She had a huge role at the healing process of Toni. And I'll tell you guys about Selen. I think it has something to do with how her personality. Selen just believes in all possibilities. And so, but Selen also has her own amazing healing story. But I would love to give both of you ladies 10 minutes each to try and condense the story. And then we're gonna like dive deep in with all the questions that we already sent you so that you were prepared, because we want this to be like, we want to really understand what you did. But maybe just first start, what is the story, so that people can say, wow, you know, I want to stay for another after the first 20 minutes. So Toni, would you like to start, and then Selen?
Yes, thank you. So I was diagnosed with lymphoma, which is the cancer of the lymphatic system. And my first diagnosis was given by the doctors 10 years ago. Since then, it was coming and going, and I was never able to heal, because I was always so fearful of the disease, and I didn't believe in myself. November last year, I was diagnosed with lymphoma again. And since then, I tried some conventional treatments and some alternative treatments. But for some reason, even though that I believed in them, for some reason, they didn't work for me. And I was not getting better. I was getting actually worse. Until February, March this year, when I had an amazing meditation. And during my meditation, I was able to connect with the universe. I just realized I was so connected with the whole universe. I was feeling so loved. And at that moment, I just realized that I'm a lot more than my body. And I'm loved and I'm so powerful. Like the whole universe, basically, I felt that like the whole universe is working for me. I was so connected to everything, to the planets, to the stars, to the people. Something that I had never experienced before, and that happened during my meditation. So since then, I decided to, everything changed. Like that was the first shift that happened with me. And then I decided to do a chemotherapy because I was in a critical condition. So something as soon as possible had to be done with me. And I decided to do chemotherapy. Along with it, I was also doing homeopathic, I was taking homeopathic remedies, and I was doing some natural treatments. And after my first infusion, first of all, when I went there for my first infusion, I was not afraid of the chemotherapy anymore. I knew that I'm more powerful and I'm the one who defines how the chemotherapy is going to work for me. So I didn't see it as a poison coming to my body. I basically saw the chemotherapy as something that's healing my body and helps the healing process, not something that is poisoning my body, which was amazing change for me, because before I was seeing the chemotherapy as poison, something that does harm to my body, not something that helps my body heal. And then, so the second week after I started the chemotherapy, I was at the hospital waiting for my results from the doctors. And I felt like enormous amount of energy coming to my body. And I felt it like here in my solar plexus. And I was like, no, knowing who I am, I cannot wait for the doctors to tell me whether I'll be fine or not. Just, it was so powerful. Like no words can explain that feeling. And I was like, no, I'm the one who decides whether I'll be fine or not. And I know that I'm fine. I believe in the unknown. I believed in the divine, and I know who I am. So since then, everything got better. And after 3 weeks after that, I was already, according to the doctors, in remission. So within 1 month, I lost 35 pounds of fluids and tumors. And there was no sign of cancer in my body. And doctors, they were amazed how well I'm doing, because they didn't expect that. And then they just asked me to do 2 more infusions of the chemotherapy, which I knew that it's not necessary, because I already knew with all my heart that I'm already healed. And I stopped, like after the second infusion of the chemotherapy, the doctors and I, we both agreed that there is no point of continuing, because I was doing amazingly well. And I know that according to the doctors, it was probably the chemotherapy, but I knew that what actually did the healing for me is that for the first time in my life, I accepted myself unconditionally, because I was, and not only that, everything else that I was doing, like my homeopathic doctor was able to find the right homeopathic remedy for me. My naturopathic doctor was able to find the right naturopathic remedy, like natural remedy for me. Everything just unfolded, like the universe was giving me more and more proofs of, okay, you deserve that. You deserve to be healed. So we're giving you more and more proofs of that. We're all here with you to support you, to love you. And every single day I was just receiving more and more gifts from the universe, which was amazing. Like everything was unfolding magically. And everything that did not work before just was suddenly unfolding, like, oh. And for the first time in my life, I accepted myself unconditionally, and I loved myself, and I felt how loved I am from. And I believe that for every single, based on what I did experience, and I believe that for every single healing, the key for the healing is the self-love. So when we accept ourselves, and when we love ourselves, and when we stop blaming ourselves for our choices, for our decisions, because that was another issue that I was holding, like before that meditation, I was blaming myself for, so how come I'm turning to the doctors for help in case that I know everything about energy and alternative treatments, and how come I'm allowing that? But you know, I believe that the real healing comes when we surrender and trust. No matter what the universe is going to give us as an opportunity to heal, as long as we trust and we believe that this is for our highest good, it is for our highest good, because sometimes we don't know what's the best for us. Like at that moment, the chemotherapy was the only thing that could bring me back to life. And I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for the homeopathic remedies. I'm thankful for the naturopathic remedies. And the most I'm thankful for myself, for all the conclusions and all the understandings and all the feelings that I came to, because I believe that the real healing came from me. I allowed everybody and everything to help me after I started loving myself. And here I am, like a few months later, completely healthy and happy. And one of the reasons why I so wanted to heal is because I wanted to prove other people that everything's possible. Just when you surrender and trust, the universe knows how to support us, and the universe knows what's the best for us. And by loving ourselves, we allow the universe to do that for us. So I want to help other people now. That's what my passion is. And I hope that by proving to them that everything's possible, that will be the best gift I can give to them.
There's something really weird going on with me, but I just feel like crying listening to you. It's like, because we interviewed you before, right? But it's like, it so resonates with me, this self-love piece. And I really wanted to talk to you about, this analytical thing about what is self-love, and, you know, like this analytical thing that I was going to go into, but I can feel it. I can really feel that you just so trusted the universe, and it was so important. And it's so, I don't know what's going on with me, but there's something that happened that is so special that I don't think is normal. It's not normal what happened, and maybe it is normal. It's the new normal. That was the all the flamingos we met in March 2019 or April 2019, and the theme was the new normal, and so that's how we got all this magic together. But I have so many questions for you, but I just want to say that, you're talking, and I just can feel the energy of the love and your total faith and trust in the universe. And it's so beautiful because there's so much happening right now that can really disturb us about the world right now, right? Because, but this...
And I also think that when you're in such a state of unconditional love,
yeah,
like normally if you're going through something like that, you're not going to be able to think about, I want to heal myself.
I'm gonna trust the universe and I'm gonna die. Like I don't know how many tumors, right? It's amazing.
And you thought of others, and only unconditional love can feel that. So that was unconditional love, was all inside of you, even in that time. And that's what you were able to love, was even future others who needed your love or needed the unconditional love that you felt. And that was everywhere. But
it was coming through you, and I really feel it because you're transmitting it just by talking to us. And that's why. And I don't cry all the time in interviews, as we know. So, but and we're going to talk about how you will help people, and you are already helping people just by talking to us, and and other people sharing this interview, etc. And so we would love to hear Selen's story, because I believe Selen had a huge role to play in your healing as well, because I know, you know, there was something that happened there. But Selen also has her own story. Selen just embodies, I think, super optimism, and she believes the impossible is possible. She doesn't believe it impossible. It just doesn't exist for her. But so Selen, but I know you weren't always like this. I don't think you were always like this, especially when you were stressed out. So please tell your story so that other people are like, oh my God, I need to stay for the whole hour or how long this interview is going to take. Are you muted? Wait. Ask to unmute. Yes. Oh, you muted yourself again. Okay.
Is this good?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, thank you. Well, before I begin with my story, you know, Angelica, I completely empathize with you because, you know, every time, I don't know how many times I heard Toni's story, every single time my body starts like, you know, first of all, I do receive this, I do feel this unconditional love, and also like I want to tear up, and it's just every single time it's so powerful. And I don't know how many times I really, you know, heard it. It's just so, I know, yeah. It's really different, her story. Yeah, my story is, yeah, it's, so basically, basically my daughter came to our lives to completely change us. And now I know exactly why she's here. But at the time when she was first born and she had all kinds of health issues and everything, I was just miserable. And I was like, why me? Why us? Why are we?
Explain health issues. She was basically allergic to almost everything, right?
So it started with just cold. You know, she would have basically upper respiratory cold issues like multiple times a year. You know, it would start basically. Finally, it ended up being like every other week she would get like high fever and just miserable for about a week, and then she was fine a week, and then she was back to being sick. So that was up until she was 2. Up until we discovered homeopathy. Actually, that was our first energetic healing, you know, method. But the way we got there was really interesting because I was very much I only believed what the doctor said. I never believed anything I didn't see with my eyes. That's how I was raised. We weren't religious or anything. So, you know, if I didn't see it with my eyes, I didn't believe it. So now it's so funny because I'm exactly the opposite of that. And so, you know, when nothing was working and doctors were like, we don't know why she's the way she is, then I, of course, as a mother, had to look for other possibilities, because as a mother, you can't just be like, okay, well, I'll accept her being like this. You know, that just doesn't happen. So we started with an amazing homeopath, and, you know, she was really like loving and patient, and just, you know, she basically gave the possibility that she would heal from this. She said, oh, initially she'll start getting sick like once a month and then less, and then she won't get sick again. And I was like, okay, that I want to believe it, but it just sounds too good to be true. So we started with that. And then she stopped getting sick. Everything was well, except that there was something with her that every time that she would eat food, within like less than a minute, like 30 seconds to a minute, she would just, you know, everything would come out, almost like a diarrhea-like, and you would see everything that was out. So nothing was being digested. And she also would randomly like fall or have neurological looking issues, but we took her to a neurologist, and, you know, nothing was really going on. So finally one day I was doing some research and I thought it was gluten. So we cut the gluten out of her diet for 4.5 years. And during that time, we also discovered that she has some dairy intolerance. So we cut that out of her diet. So at that point, I, you know, basically changed almost everything in the kitchen. I bought everything new. No gluten was allowed in our house. And it was like, it was almost like a imprisonment, because I was basically, you know, I don't like to cook, or I'm not a good cook, but I had to spend like hours in the kitchen every single day to bake and cook and make everything from scratch, and go to the market and read labels for at least 2 hours every time, and until I learned, because gluten is in everything, in chocolate and everything you can imagine. So And so that became just my life, and it was taking a lot of time and energy. And when my husband said, let's take a vacation, that was my biggest fear, because what is she going to eat, like, all these issues. So and I also never left the kids ever to go anywhere. And so I found out about Dr. Joe's work through my mom. Actually, she was reading his book, and one day she told me, oh, there's this doctor, and who claims that everything can be healed. And I said, Mom, seriously? That just can't happen, It's just, that just can't happen, right?
Although he's a doctor, whatever. He doesn't know my daughter.
Well, the thing is, everybody else, like, my basic analytical mind basically said, if that was the case, then we would all know about this, and nobody would be so sick, and and this is so, like, at the time, this was so not heard of. Anyway, long story short, I decided to buy intensive and progressive, because I just said, okay, I'm not going to go to, I'll never leave my kids to go for a week to 10 days to an event, And so I just was attached to the computer screen the whole time, and something came. That was my first thing that I realized came to me. And I was like, I have to go. I have to go to this event. And my husband came in the evening, and I told him, I'm going to England for this event, which at the time we were in America. And when those words came out of my mouth, I heard it, and I said, what am I saying again? So finally, anyway, long story short, we went. So during that first event, I knew that I was expecting something to change in our life, because there was a lot more going on. But I didn't think that I could actually heal somebody else. Even though it's my daughter, it's still a different person. Again, my mind was still not.
You were meditating, you were putting heat, because we're taught in the online progressive to heal ourselves, not to heal other people.
Exactly.
We're not being taught to be healers. We're just being taught meditation, how to be the epigenetic engineer. That's all. Yeah.
Yes. And in my mind, again, coming from such a big belief, like, I just believed in what I saw, as I mentioned. So to me, it just didn't make sense that I could, just by doing something myself, that I could heal another being,
Mm-hmm.
And, I was like, okay, she's a different person. Yes, I gave birth to her, but we are not the same person. It just didn't make sense to me. But so I didn't know about which chakras or energy centers were connected to at the time. I had absolutely no knowledge. So I asked my team leader. I said, oh, my daughter has gluten intolerance, and do you think I can heal her? Again, this is not about me. This is about her. So, and she said, oh yeah, that's the second center. So yeah, I think you could do that. And so I only had fear. I usually didn't have any fears or anything like that, but I did have fear of heights, that it was so bad for me. And I also had this conditioning of guilt, coming, I think, culturally and from family, I think, and so when I was walking to the challenge activity, all I was hoping for
Explain what a challenge activity is, because there might be some non-Dr. Joe students here.
Yeah. So, that it's the Dr. Joe's challenge that he gives us, like that we do something physical, and by him, he teaches beforehand how to have a heart coherence and open the heart and being mindful, and then doing the challenge activity instead of just like rushing into it, because that's when the healing happens. And a lot of people, it turns out, have some kind of fear of the heights, because a lot of people have issues with that. So that was my first event. I did not know at all. They just told us we were just going to the challenge activity. So that was really, I didn't know what I was going to expect, but I was hoping that it was something to do with heights. I don't know why. And all of a sudden they just put us on this, because there was 2 different activities, and they just put us on the higher one. I was hoping for it. Here I receive it. So so it was like the spiral stairs, and it was a windy day, so it was kind of like moving with the wind on top of the heights, you know. And then they just keep you there for a while, and then they're like, okay, you know, what do you practice and all that. So I think I was there for at least 20 minutes, yeah, at least. And I was just like, I started to feel like, and you know, with the thing moving, I was like, I can't breathe and all this. So so the team leader, Dr. Joe's team leader, said to me, okay, you know, he just took my hands and he put them on my heart. And he said, okay, breathe from your heart, because I don't think I was breathing. And he said, what do you want to leave behind with this jump? And as soon as he said that, it didn't come from my brain or anything. It just, the answer was like right there, you know, it just came to me. And it was fear, guilt, and her intolerances was the next thing. And of course, you know, I started crying, and he's like, this is good. It's the energy being released. It's the beginning of the healing. And he said, if you're really scared to look down, you look down more, because that's, you know, then you're gonna.
How many meters were we talking about? 10 meters?
33.
33. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh, okay. I thought 10. I was
no, it was not 10. And, you know, and I'm, you know, and this thing is like not stable, okay, with the wind.
I've been there.
Yeah, because we were like on the beach and like open, and also it was England and facing America on the, you know, eastern side where I was living. So I was like, I can, like, this is, I'm facing my daughter right now, so let's do this together, you know. And so it was a beautiful sunny day, and I said, I'm all in. I'm here to change something. I'm not gonna just like, you know, jump. If he said, you know, if I'm scared to look down, which I am, then I'm going to look down. I'm going to take my time. So I just, my feet were like almost halfway hanging, and I'm like, okay, look down. It's okay. And I looked down, and then that point something shifted, and then I looked up and I saw the birds and beautiful sky and everything. And I said, okay, I'm ready. Although I was not. And jumping down, you
had to reach for something, right? You had to jump in the void or not?
No, so they tie you from the back and from the front, and when you're ready, they let go from the back, and you just kind of, you know, if you don't jump, you just have to jump. You know,
it wasn't like the one in Mallorca where you had to jump to reach something.
So that was the other activity people were at. So that's not as high.
Oh no, that wasn't as high, but I was already peeing my pants. So
yeah, and I did that too, yeah, as you know. So yeah, that's not as bad. I think this was much worse, but this was exactly what I needed too. So anyway, and I said, okay. So I just kind of jumped with this scream, you know, like, oh, you know, and then I realized, like, and then it's just like they hold you. It's not like you don't feel anything, you know. It's just the initial thing, the action. And as soon as I jumped, I literally went into the void. I just for a second, I was not there. I was not myself. I wasn't anything. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, like she's healed. And fear, guilt, everything is gone. Like I was going down slowly, crying. And then my team, you know, mates were like there hugging. And I was like, she's healed. I know. And
that's bizarre, right?
Oh my God, it's so bizarre. You know, the second that something shifts and you heal and everything. It was just so, and then, you know, for me, it was like she was healed, the fear was gone, and the guilt was gone. It was just all three at the same time. And after that, I learned that it was all the second energy center. It was all the same place, you know, but I was so ignorant about these things at the time. And then my husband jumped, and I was like, oh my God, it's all gone, it's healed. But there's a but to it. So we went back home, and we went out to eat in a Chinese restaurant, and you know, she was eating again gluten-free, dairy-free. And then so she brings this like fortune cookie, and she's like, I want to eat this, Mom. And she was so careful. She would actually bring everything to me to read if she didn't know it was gluten, because she really suffered, you know, because she would like, it would be at least 2 weeks of suffering. So she never dared, you know. And so she's like, I'm gonna eat this. And I was like, that's gluten. And my husband was like, remember, it's healed, so give it to her. But you know, again, she would have like the diarrhea like symptoms right away. And I was like, we're outside, I don't have any extra clothes. So my mind was, you know, thinking, and he's like, just give it to her. So she ate it. nothing happened. And and it was funny because even though she wasn't eating any gluten all these years, her balance things were definitely much better, but she wasn't completely well, balance wise. And after that, her balance was amazing. And then she started eating. She ate that fortune cookie, nothing happened. And then she's like, okay. So we were like, we went out and got like all these gluten ingredients things, and next day she was drinking milk, eating like half a bread and all that, everything she was missing, and nothing like happened to her. On the contrary, she was better, like her balance was better, everything was better. She was of course happier. And I knew it, so I experienced this. I know exactly how she healed, but it still was so surreal to me because you can try to comprehend with your brain as much as you want, but you, like Toni, you just can't. And each time that I hear stories of healing like this, even though, ours is one, it's still, my mind still doesn't comprehend it, but it happens in a much bigger space.
I had the pleasure of sitting next to you before we did the challenge activity, and you told me about it. And because of your story, I took the challenge activity super serious. I was like, I better find this big thing to let go of because this is serious business. But absolutely, it is so bizarre because you told me what probably you'll tell everybody. I was trying to heal my daughter all the time, but then you started healing yourself and your daughter healed. And this is where we want, where we're going to talk later about your work with that you and Toni decided, through a download to do together. Toni also healed her daughter. That is also a little bit of a miracle. And Toni, also, you healed your daughter by something that you did, not by something that you were doing to her. Can you tell that story? Because this to me is, of course, we can try to explain what happened, but we actually we're not that far, I think, with our science, unless we just look at energy and consciousness fields or whatever. But Toni, can you tell us in short the story of how your daughter really got sick and then you did something and it shifted for her without changing anything to your daughter?
Yes, certainly. And my story with my daughter is not as amazing as Selen's story because this is really amazing what she has done. But 2 years ago, my daughter had a very severe eczema. It was all over her body. And I tried everything. I took her to Ayurvedic doctors, to conventional doctors, to everybody. Like
it came out of nowhere. It
just came out from nowhere. Just suddenly, just appeared on one spot of her body. And then what was interesting is that as much as I was pushing and trying to heal her, it was spreading more and more.
Because you're a Reiki healer and things like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we get the idea.
So I was giving her energy healing. I was taking her to other people, trying all kinds of modalities. And because my attention was constantly there, checking how her eczema is doing, so it was spreading and spreading more. And then also, I try to keep her away from gluten and dairy, similar to Selen's stories, because I was reading that it could be gluten, it could be dairy, and but one day, and I told her not to eat, like for example, when she goes to school, she was also always bringing lunch from home, and I told her not to eat the pizza there, not to eat this, not to do that, and one day she came home and she looked at me, and I will never forget that moment. She looked at me and she said, "Mommy, what's wrong with me?" And I said, "What do you mean, what's wrong with you?" And she said, "Am I sick? Or why am not a normal child as everybody else? Why I cannot eat the pizza as everybody does that?" And it just broke my heart. And at that moment, I just decided that I'm not going to allow my fears to be her guidance and to basically consider my child as a sick child, because she was, in my eyes at that moment, completely healthy and happy child. And that I realized that basically because of my fears, I'm putting a lot of stress on her. And the stress probably is the one that creates everything in her body. It's not neither the gluten nor the dairy, not everything that she eats or she does. It was my own fears. And I just
The
told myself,
nocebo that you
exactly.
created, the gluten and dairy will probably worsen the eczema. And you were thinking, if we can be the placebo, we definitely can also be the nocebo. And my fear is contributing to her feeling there's something wrong with her.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what was happening with her. So at that moment, I decided that I'm not gonna allow my fears to put the stress on her, and that it's much more important my child to be happy than everything else. And the next day when she woke up, the eczema was gone. Just it disappeared.
So, okay, Ellen and I created this huge amounts of questions because we are going to be the scientists. Like at the Conscious World Club, Ellen and I always say we need to be the scientists, right? So Ellen, like, which question comes to your mind when you hear this? Like, we have a huge amount of questions. What do you think is the best question to ask?
I like this question. What came first? Believing it was possible or feeling good before you knew it was possible?
You know, I always believed that everything's possible.
Always.
But always.
So
yes.
even for your lymphoma during the 10 years?
Even with my lymphoma, I never gave up. I always believed that everything's possible.
Great.
But before, I was only believing it. And after that meditation, when I started feeling it and experiencing it, like feeling myself complete and whole, then my body followed, because it was my heart came first, and my heart told me, like, the feeling that, okay, you're healed, everything, like you're whole and complete the way you are. And then my body just followed. So I believe that our beliefs are the ones that create the possibilities for us, because, as I said, the belief is a very, very powerful thing, because it comes from our thoughts. But you should also feel it, like the experience, like the feeling of, okay, I'm whole, I'm complete, I'm loved, I'm healed. Like, this is what actually makes our body manifest the healing.
What was it for you, Selen? Because it was so weird, because you actually, and I know that when we did a challenge activity, like, I think everybody was crying, because sort of it was like this momentum where we believed that we were going to let go of something, even if it was symbolic. But most of us believe it's symbolic. But because I had the pleasure of sitting next to you, I didn't think it was symbolic. I knew something was going to happen because of your story. So, I mean, now give Selen the credit. What I do remember is when we were doing when we first heard the story of Toni, I know that Selen and you are very good friends, and that Selen was calling you every day. And I know the power of talking to Selen. She was telling you that it is possible. You're going to heal. You're going to be healed. You're going to be. And I know that this is how Selen is in my life. She believes, just like, if I don't believe, she believes it. And there's such an amazing faith in her faith. But I know that when you were letting go of your daughter's disease at this surrender activity, you had no evidence whatsoever, right, Selen? So what was going on with you that we might be able to interpret? Was it just like a faith part that came through, that was like a bigger part of you that showed up in your body, that just knew that she was healed? Where does this faith come from? I'm just trying to understand this.
Well, actually, I did have that example too, because I think it was before the challenge activity. Dr. Joy invited a beautiful person on stage who had 50 tumors, and he healed them. And I remember, even though I was like putting pieces of puzzle together, now I look back and I'm like, I was just putting them in places, but I never actually could see the whole story until everything else happened, everything was done. So when he was talking on stage, that was my first time I was hearing anybody heal from that kind of an illness, especially. And this man was so humble, and he was so it was just he was so beautiful. And I just was like, oh my God, like, this man healed himself under like really difficult conditions too, because he was in the process of getting a divorce and all that. You know, there was so much more going on. And I was like, if he can do this, anybody can do this, you know? So that's why actually, you know, Dr. Joe invites them into stage, and I started crying. So I don't think anybody in that room wasn't crying at that moment when he was talking. So that actually gave the possibility in me that if he can do it, I can do it. I think that's the thing that's
because
contagious.
normally we would give up on 50 tumors. We would say, let's set up the will and, you know, like, let's live your life for the last month or something.
Well, the doctor told him he will not make it until his birthday, which was 10 days after. And yet, like, after 2 years, this man was talking like how he's healed, which is like magic. It still is magic to me, you know? But, you know, again, it was him healing himself. Like, I didn't know any stories of somebody healing somebody else, or like their children, or like anybody close to them. So for me, it gave me the possibility that something may change and I could let go of my own fear and things like that. But I guess it gave the possibility that I could heal my daughter as well. But at the time, I wasn't aware of it. So it's, you know,
there was a bigger part of you operating that we don't know about.
You know, I feel lucky that I was always, even in the most difficult times of my life, I always believed that nothing really bad can happen to me or people around me. You know, I always, even in the worst like parts where I, you know, which we had some like horrible times, I always believed that believed in something, because I was really getting help from something, even though I wasn't really believing in it, anything religious, or again something I didn't see. There was still something that I was receiving help from always. I don't know how and why, and but I was always thankful, and I always trusted that. You know, it was just the interesting part. But for me, about that activity and about, you know, healing my daughter, it was the belief that, you know, I don't know if I believe that I could heal her again, or you know, that would, by healing me, she would heal. But I definitely believe that things could shift, and I will not leave this place the way I came. Like, something was going to change. And it did. Even during my meditations, I had other situations happen, like after that moment, after healing her, like my grandmother reached out and she said goodbye, and then 10 days later she passed away. Like, crazy stuff started happening, which didn't happen
You
before.
became more psychic.
Yeah. I was allowing it, you know. I think I was blocking it before, and like everybody else is the same. I'm not special in any way. It's just we all are blocking it. And so, and for me, that was it. But I was always, like, I have to say, even in the, you know, when I was in the difficult times, I was pessimist time to time, but I'm a very optimistic person. I always have been. And again, I just think that I always was protected by something.
So what can we learn from this? I think all the people that are here, like, you know, I think Toni is a good example of, I always believed something was possible, and I kept on, you know, like, not giving up, not even like, I'll even said to chemotherapy, give it to me, because if that's what's going to heal me, I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to see it as something helping my body. But you actually there was no confidence or certainty. You just basically, it was like a leap of faith, blind faith.
I did surrender.
Yeah,
like I was always good at surrendering, but I was never good at trusting. That was my issue, you know?
Yeah. And I think the surrender was also a part that made me cry so much, Toni. That was like this blind faith, that when you know that, you know, like, to me, it felt so dramatic that when you said, I just trusted and surrendered that the universe wouldn't give anything to me that would not be good. And I just felt, oh my God, I'm going to die, and I'm a wife, and I have children, and I could muster up that much faith. I still feel it, like, oh my God, you know, like, how much surrendering and trust was that? So I just want the people that are listening to this interview to know, you know, that this faith and belief and confidence thing, you know, you can actually derive it from watching somebody else and not having any evidence of that something else can happen. So I just want this to like be like a little seed that's planted for people that need to hear this. I know that, you know, a lot of the work of Dr. Joe is about, you know, because these were Dr. Joe meditations that you guys did. They're all about changing ourselves, because he says there's something in us that created the disease or created some kind of, you know, something chemical that kept the disease in place. And maybe would any of you be able to say what were the big shifts that happened in you that made you actually think, actually the Toni that was the Selen that, you know, didn't heal her daughter was a different person than the one that actually did experience this miraculous healing. I mean, there must have been things in your personality that shifted, or things that you, where there was like, you know, like a fork in the road, like this is not going to happen anymore, or I'm just going to let go of this. This just doesn't belong in my future growth to heal me. Can you maybe think about what it was? Because I think, you know,
I can.
like, yeah.
It was the
what
victim.
was it?
Before I was a victim.
Woo, the victim. That's a big
Yes.
thing. Ellen and I, you know, Selen was in our appreciation game. You know, that's like the first week. It's like, if you're going to be a victim, then nothing is going to change. Like, but how were you a victim, Toni? I mean, because you were
Like,
really doing the work. You were meditating.
Yeah,
Well,
but
how
you know,
were you
I
a
believe
victim?
I believe that with me, it comes from my childhood, because I had a very traumatic childhood. So, and I didn't realize the things that went on subconscious level for me. And that's where the fear was coming from, because I was, no matter what I was doing, no matter what I was approaching, I was always expecting the worst to come to me. Like,
catastrophic thinking. Yeah.
Yes. And then after the meditation, I realized that, and after I realized how powerful I am during that meditation. Even when I went to the hospital and I was like, I was about to get the chemotherapy, and I said, for one moment, my mind was trying to go back to the past. Like, oh, what if I get some side effects, or what if I have an allergic reaction, or this or that? You know, that was the analytical brain trying to bring me back to the past. And at that moment, I just caught myself and I said, I'm so powerful. I'm a lot more than my body. I felt who I am. Why would such a bad things happen to me? Why not the good things to happen to me?
So you had two voices in your head. One was the
Exactly.
bigger you, the person that is actually, that was trying to emerge through the illness, the new you, the future self. And then there was this part that was like old, stuck in the old personality, trying to protect you with like, don't be too hopeful. Maybe it won't work. You're actually, you're a victim, actually. Exactly. We are a victim. Yeah.
It was the habit of thinking that way for so many years. And you know, it's so funny, because when I went to Dr. Joe's week-long event last year, I went there with the intention of breaking the habit of being myself. Because I was so not happy with certain ways of thinking that I created for so many years when the people ask me why you're here, and I said, I'm here because I want to break the habit of being myself and help others. That was my answer. And then a few months later, after that meditation, it was one of Dr. Joe's meditations, of course. Yeah. So after I felt that, I just refused to be a victim anymore. I'm like, I'm the creator of my life, and I deserve.
So let's contrast the two, right? So the victim is the person that feels overwhelmed by conditions and circumstances in their lives, that don't believe that they can create another outcome by changing themselves. And the part of you that awoke, that sort of rose up from the ashes, was a part of you that said, but I'm the real person here. I'm a God, I'm divine. I have divine coursing through me. There's a purpose behind this ordeal. And so that part of you was the creator. The other one was like, no, things are defining me. And the creator was like, no, I'm going to define. I'm going to decide what's going to happen from now on.
Yes, because for the first time in my life, I felt that I'm worthy of receiving, and I deserved only good things to happen to me.
Wow, that's so powerful. And that was after that meditation?
That was after that meditation. That was a few weeks after that meditation. And I just want to mention my friend Selen, because she was there throughout the whole process, right next to me.
I know.
Right next to me. I cannot skip that part. And, you know, ensuring me every day that how
you're already healed.
Yes, you're already healed. Just a bit more, just a little bit more patience. I see it. It's coming. I see it. Just a little bit more patience.
I know this is Selen. I know this is Selen. We love you so much, Selen.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah.
without her, she was a very, very important, she played a very important part of my healing. And I love her so much for who she is. Like she's amazing.
All love Selen.
And I'm so thankful that I have her as my friend. But yeah.
So
I actually have a testimonial for Selen, almost crying, like, because I know Selen as a Theta healer, but I know her as a person. And I always said we would pay just to talk to you, even without you being a healer. But she is also a healer. And she's a psychologist and blah, blah, blah. You know, she's multiple degrees as all of us. She's written books and everything. But definitely, I think there is that part of that you are not alone. And that but definitely I want people to hear this victim thing. This is not going to help heal our body. The victim doesn't believe in possibility. The victim believes in what the doctors are telling her or what other people are telling her, right? Whereas the creator is saying, I believe in possibility. I'm the epigenetic engineer of my life and of my destiny. And there's a bigger power than what we can see. There's something bigger going on that I can ever see with my eyes, and it's working right now. Selen, I don't know whether you can answer the questions. Yeah?
It's the same. Well, first of all, thank you. What I receive, you know, I also get back. It's the same. It's not just I give, you know, so if I'm giving it to you, that means that I'm also receiving from you. So, and with Toni, in a way, we did some of our healing together, especially when our daughters both stopped with gluten. We were having crazy gluten parties together. You know, it was like at the same time. It was really nice. So yeah, so for me, it's the same thing. You know, the reason is different, but it was also being a victim. And I think, yeah,
I could never see you as a victim, but
well,
because I don't know you as a victim.
I was a victim, you know.
Explain it to us so that we can we can identify it in ourselves.
So okay, so it wasn't the same as Toni. So I had a pretty happy childhood. You know, I have to say, I can't really say I had any like big traumas.
Mom and dad, we had a great childhood, but still I was a victim.
Yeah, still I was a victim, and I'll tell you why. I think it was more of the family dynamic, because with my extended family, we were really almost like, you know, we were together all the time. It was just like too much of entanglement. And the way that things worked in my extended family is like, the more miserable you are, the better it is. And okay, let's all be miserable together. You know?
Let's have a party, Ellen. We should be doing these victim parties.
Yes, it's just
so much fun.
Because it's also taking the power and control and the responsibility away from you. So it's easy to be a victim.
Somebody else.
Like, yeah, it's not me. I feel, you know, poor me. It's like because of this person or because of the doctor. Because of, yeah, I mean, that's really what you go through. And I think the biggest shift for me was with my daughter's birth. That was it. It was just because, again, I didn't really have any problems surrounding my trusting was a big issue for me. And my mom is like, you know, laughing. So for me, it was that issue that again, I was trusting outside sources, doctors and this and that. And finally, when I think with the going to Dr. Joe and just experiencing that I could actually change things instead of, yeah, this is my destiny, too bad, my daughter is like this and I have to live with that. Yeah. I can do something about it. I can shift the way I think. I think I was always optimistic towards others, you know, because I always worked with families, with people, and, you know, as a psychologist. And I always had good vision for them, like, you know, it was going to be good and well. but for me, not really. And for me, again, there was something protecting me. I was always lucky that nothing really bad happened to me. And even though I wasn't in any way spiritual or anything like that, something was there, and I was aware of it, and I was receiving it. But I could never name what it is until now. I can now, but now I receive it aware, like I'm aware, and I create what I receive now. But before it was random. It was just coming.
Selen, explain to us, because this is a big thing, I think, in all the transformation processes. How do you know that you've crossed the threshold from not being a victim anymore and being this powerful creator that is going to be defined by the future vision of what she's creating, which is health, purpose, blah, 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 blah. I mean, can you explain to us, because you were saying it, you had a good childhood, but you were still a victim, so that people can understand, because I think a lot of people don't see themselves as victim, but we are going in victim, victim consciousness is actually very broad. It is much bigger than we can ever think of, because Ellen and I, we base it on the David Hawkins consciousness scale. So what was it for you that made you determine, actually, I'm not going to be this anymore, because this one is not going to be able to go with me to where I'm going, because I'm no longer buying into the story, the identity, and all the disadvantages of what victim means to me.
Yeah, so again, it comes back to the same thing. Like, Toni said, it's taking power. I was basically empowered.
Owning the power.
Yeah, but the way it happened is I had to completely let go of the fear and the guilt. And the guilt more than the fear was really big for me, because I had to feel guilty. Okay. I was looking for ways to feel guilty. That was just like, why, okay, like this, I don't know. This person kind of may be upset from what I said, so let me feel guilty. Or, simple things. If it wasn't anything major, it was simple. But even after I let go of it, it would check in with me, and it does sometimes too, but I'm aware right away. I'm like, no, this is not about me. I'm not feeling guilty over this. So I still have to do that extra work about the guilt factor.
Catching yourself, going back.
Yeah, I do catch myself. So that's the good part. But it was really, really part of me. Like, seriously, one of the descriptions of me was guilt, feeling guilty. And letting go of that guilt didn't, it happened majorly in that challenge activity, but it still would check in. And it was basically when I started doing the work more regularly and just, seriously and trusting it and everything. But I knew that I was a different person when synchronicities and magic started happening. I felt like, growing up, we never believed in, Santa or anything like that. Again, our parents were like really, God, religion, nothing existed for us. So,
yeah.
And all of a sudden, as an adult, I started believing magic, and I started teaching my kids, magic does exist. Maybe not in the form of Santa, but kind of, in a similar way. So, for me, it was just like all these synchronicities. The way I met Toni, is because of this, because we both healed our daughters' intolerances, and then we were introduced by our homeopath, and our kids were sitting next to each other in the classroom. I mean, what else? And then when we first met, we knew that we were going to do something together. We always talked about it. The first time we met, we were just like, we felt like we knew each other forever. We were together for 6 hours nonstop talking. All these things, like, life just brought me into, meeting these new people and having me, just put me in the situations where I would never look for or even imagine existing. And the powerful thing about synchronicities is that it comes with an extra bonus, which I love. I love that part. For example, finding a parking spot, easy peasy. I know I'm going to find one right where I'm going to go. I just know it. But that finding that parking spot and knowing that you'll get it is the same as healing from cancer. It's the same as finding $1 million and this and that. Like everything, the answer is always the same. It's just believing it and believing you're worthy to receive it. A lot of people receive money, for example, but they're not worthy, so they go, you know, bankrupt.
They lose it.
Yeah, they
and
lose
I just want to make this thing about, because people think, okay, what does guilt have to do with healing? And I think this is really so Ellen and I, we work with the David Hawkins consciousness scale, and actually guilt is one of the lowest energies. Like it's like down there with shame. And because, and both of you said there was something to do with love, and I can tell you, because guilt is almost seen as a virtue sometimes, right? It's like if you feel guilty, then of course you're not going to do bad things. But actually, when you understand the David Hawkins consciousness scale, and you understand the ramifications of guilt on feeling worthy, feeling that I am powerful enough, I am good enough to actually you know, align with this healing power. My life is even worthy to actually inspire other people by me healing myself. I think it's all interrelated. So I just want to say something about, maybe both of you wanted the title of love to be in this, to be a theme in this interview. Can you explain to us, what does love have to do with it, and how do we even recognize it? Because, you know, all of us, you know, who are here in the beginning, I felt something. I felt something move through me, and I just couldn't stop crying. Although I heard this for the third time, there's something going on with the energy of love. Like, but how do we know that we're actually in that love, or that we're just in the concept of love, or that we're in this, like, I don't know, something else? How do we actually recognize? Because I think Toni had a mystical experience, transcendent. It felt, I think maybe something like, if you were on a brain scan, I think you would have a lot of gamma waves. You would have had a lot of gamma waves, like with the spikes going on in your brain, I know for sure. But most of us have to have like maybe more mundane experiences of love. So like so
the question is,
yeah,
what love got to do with it?
And how do we mimic, like, how are we going to experience it? Or maybe do you guys have some tips, or I don't know.
Okay, so first of all, I believe that love heals everything.
I believe that too.
This is the most powerful energy, the most beautiful emotion, feeling that we can experience. And no matter what we do, and no matter what field we want to succeed in, no matter if it's a health challenge that we're going through, no matter if it's like financial and related to the abundance, it all starts with self-love. If we don't love ourselves, if we don't feel worthy and deserving, we are not able to achieve what we want to achieve in our lives. Also, love is unconditional. When we're able to experience, and for me, the way I feel it and the way I understand it is, I live by accepting every situation and every person. I see the divine in them. Like, no matter what happens to me, I always believe that it happens for my highest good. I know sometimes it may sound funny, because sometimes you may say, okay, but that, according to my mind, that's not the best thing that can happen to me. And that's how you may see the situation at that moment. But then when you approach it with love, and when you see the divine, and then it turns to be that this is for your highest good. And also the unconditional love, by accepting myself and by loving myself, I can do that to the others. Before I was able to do that with me, I was not able to give that love to the others. Like now I realize that even my daughter, I was loving her conditionally, because I expected her to behave in a certain way, so then she could be a good child, or she can prove her love to me. Or now I don't expect anything from her. I try not to control her anymore, because that's not related to love either. So when
to say that as a mother is a big thing. Whoa.
Yes, and believe me, I catch myself a few times a day, and I'm like, no, that's not love, that's controlling. Like, I expect her to behave or be or understand the things in a certain way. No, that's that's her, that's not me. She needs to make her own decisions, like and that's where love comes, like just not judging. That's another thing. I not to judge myself, and by not judging myself, I don't judge others. Like
it's amazing, right? How you can only do it to yourself first before you do it to others, which is actually really when we judge others, we judge ourselves. Because a lot of people are very often stuck in pride of the David Hawkins consciousness scale. And in pride, we're still a victim because people can still affect our emotions. They can either make us happy, or they can make us pissed off, or feel superior or inferior. And then we just have all this judgment when we're in pride. But actually, when we judge ourselves, we're holding ourselves back from being in love, because everything is just a mirror.
Or people who are judgmental, because you can understand that actually they're judging themselves. So it makes you feel like, oh, I have so much love for you because you must be so hard on yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that's where guilt comes from too. Like by judging yourself, how come I didn't do this in that way, or that I did it in that way? And now the reason I don't...
Sorry, there's somebody banging on my door. I don't know who it is, sorry.
You can keep going.
No, that's... I just wanted to say that the reason I try not to do that anymore is because it doesn't make me feel good. So I try to do what makes me feel good.
Yeah. It's also putting conditions on yourself, right? It's saying, I have to do this a certain way, and otherwise I beat myself up and judge myself and feel guilty for not doing it a certain way.
Yes.
Unrealistic standards.
Absolutely, yes.
That's exactly it. You know, I know when my energy falls, and that's because like in the morning, if I don't want to get out of bed, or if it's hard for me, or if I'm like, I don't want to meditate today, those are the days that I push myself more, because I know that you know, I'm falling, you know, I just catch myself. And normally you're supposed to wake up like in love, like, oh, it's a new day, yay, you know, like, let's see what's going to happen. And I usually wake up in the morning, I'm like, let's see what surprises are waiting for me today. And that's exactly the definition of unconditional love towards myself and towards my life. And when you are so in love, how can you judge? Because you don't even know what the other person is coming from. You know, you don't know their story. You've never been in their shoes. And how can you judge them? It's just, you know, I still do judge at the time to time, but I'm like, I just stop it, and I just send love to them, and then I send love to myself, and I'm like, okay, I got, you know, let's see, maybe this is something that I need to work more on, and let's see what I judged. And again, whatever we feel towards another person, especially a negative feeling, it's always about us. So again, it's something that I need to work on myself with.
Exactly, it's showing you what needs to be worked on, and you can only be loving towards that, because everyone's an image of what you're feeling on the inside, right? Yeah. And also not going into the program of, okay, now I'm going to feel guilty, and now I'm going to beat myself up because I judged someone. That's not what love would do, right? I love that's what Dr. Joe says, right? I think, what would love do?
Yeah, I love that saying.
Yeah.
And we're all human beings. Like I go into fear sometimes, I go into a little bit of judgment, but the good thing is that now we are able to catch ourselves, and just because we love ourselves, we're like, no, I'm not allowing that anymore. It doesn't serve me anymore. I had such a journey just not to go, and I'm here now, so I don't want to go back. Like I've already changed, so I'm not going back. And I believe that, and I know that my friend Selen, she feels the same way. So yeah, because loving unconditionally is not only when you are happy, when you're healthy. Loving unconditionally is when we go through our challenges too, which is okay, because this is part of this is our human part, and we all experience those emotions. Without them, we cannot be who we are now.
I want to come back to something that I remember that I thought was so beautiful when I first heard you speak the first time. And it was, you know, and I don't know, Ellen, whether you heard it when we pre-interviewed them. Basically, you said, Toni, that you were grateful for the cancer.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I was like listening to that, and I was like, am I grateful for all this crisis that's going on in the world and in my life? I'm not sure I'm there yet, but I could feel it. I could feel that this huge transformation, who you are now, could not have happened without this. Maybe it could have, but it didn't. But there was a correlation between all this crisis and you actually, you had to change. There was no other option. And I could really feel that you weren't even feeling a victim to the cancer.
No, actually, I'm
The
very
cancer
grateful.
was your, exactly. That's what I so remembered. And then you said, if I can do this, everything is possible. And to me, that was like such a lightning bolt for this world that we live in right now, that everything is possible, and it is still possible, even if it feels like all these things are happening to us.
It's
to
more
us.
possible because of it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Wow. I just want to remind people, because I'm listening to all what you guys are saying. It's like we always think there is a big breakthrough, like one big decision, like, oh, I'm not going to be a victim anymore. But it feels like, and I know this because, you know, I'm in this process myself every day. It's like becoming a better version of me every day. Oh gosh, again, sorry. So basically you make the decision not to be a victim every day. You have to catch yourself over and over and over again, right? So I have to open the door again.
It's an ongoing process.
Yes, it doesn't just happen. Yes, it does happen overnight, but then you need to catch yourself and be consciously, basically catching yourself, because sometimes it's all memories from the past that come up from our subconsciousness. So, and when you make the decision that I'm not going to be the same person, I'm not going back to my old self, then you just throughout the day you catch yourself, and when you feel guilty for a little bit, and when you judge, or which we all do, we're like, I'm like, no, I'm not allowing that anymore. That was part of the old Toni. I'm the new Toni, and that does not have part in my life anymore.
And that's just not worth it, because it's just too good this way, right? I mean,
Exactly.
what would we go back?
Exactly.
This is so extremely inspiring. And I can tell you, Ellen and I, we started interviewing some of our master manifestors in the appreciation game. And they said exactly the same thing. If I hear one of these crazy thoughts come in, I don't go there anymore. I just say, no, stop it. I know where I'm going. If I'm going to go into this thought, it's like a train. It's like, or it's like a bus, or it's like a limousine coming up. Hey, I'm this car with all your horrible thoughts. Come in. You know this car. We can do the old thing, just be the victim and just go to catastrophic road and, just think all your horrible thoughts. And they say, no, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there.
And the reason it keeps checking in, actually, it does, and it will. And the reason for it is that it's just showing you, or it's just testing you how much you mean it, how much you mean the change. And I always see it as like going up the stairs, you just, or video games, like my son loves to play, and you accomplish like the first level of the video game, and then the second level is harder. It's not the same, it's just more challenging. But then in order to finish that, in order to move on to the next one, you have to accomplish that one. And that's life. And we are always going to have challenges. And now with the global challenge happening, I am super optimistic, because this needs to disappear, whatever this is. And it's all like coming to the surface, everything that was just like buried over decades, even not even years. And now it's all coming clean. And then it's kind of like when the illness leaves, it's just you see more of it, and then it leaves the body. So this is, now we're clearing a giant illness in the world. So it's all good. It's going to be beautiful.
I want to go to the work that you guys have been inspired to do, because as you both said, you met through very synchronistic means, like through your children and through your homeopath, and then you became super good friends. Then you started going through this healing journey together, supporting, Selen, supporting Toni. You became really good friends. And I know that when we did the second interview, Selen, you were saying that actually when Toni had that mystical experience of this connecting to the universe, and we in the Dr. Joe community, we're always, some of us are very jealous of these people that get this mystical experience. We're like, when am I going to get my mystical experience, you know? And other people are like, I had another mystical experience. They were like, we hate those people with a mystical
I want to see a giant Dalek head towards me.
I was one of them.
I hate those people.
I was one of them.
And then you had one, and then, but I felt the energy, so I was moved to tears. But I can only say, I'm losing the thought of my train of my thought. I don't even know where I'm going anymore. I want to say something. Sorry. Okay.
That we were gonna work, do.
Oh yeah. Basically, you knew that you were going to work together, but you couldn't come to that decision until lately. And it was so clear, this is what you're going to do. Can you tell us what you are going to do and what people can expect?
So that's me. I just need to share that part. By the way, it wasn't me helping Toni always. Like Toni helped me a lot. Even recently when my son broke his nose, I was like, I went into that like state, like, oh my God, like the panic. And she's like, remember, she was reminding me. So the good thing is that it's really nice to have like people around you that just reminds you, and you just go back and center yourself and make decisions, from your heart, not from fear. Yes. So I just want to answer that part, Angelique, because when we met, we really knew we were going to do something together, but it was not the right time at the time, and we just weren't ready for it. And so Angelique and I give each other theta sessions, and it's just so beautiful. And I had one amazing theta session with Angelique, and like giant clearance, like like in my throat area, it was like crazy. I never knew that my throat was actually blocked. It was so amazing. I was like, somebody's choking me, help, and then we just cleared something. And within minutes, like we were done, and I was like, okay, now is the time. So I called Toni, and I was like, what are we waiting for again? Like, we keep saying that we're going to do this, and why? Let's go for it. She's like, yeah, why? Because we're so ready. And like Dr. Joe says, like when you reach to a certain point, and like Betsy, our amazing homeopath, told me many, many years ago, she said, once you get to that point and you're, healed and everything is fine, you're going to help others. And I laughed at her. I was like, no way. Until I read her card that she wrote me when we were moving last year. She wrote the card in 2014. She's like, you're going to get over the situation and help others. And I started crying. I was like, I cannot believe I'm actually
She had this
there.
amazing faith. She had this amazing faith in you.
She knew it always. She always knew. And I said to her, how did you know? She said, you can only do this once you are like, once you get to that state, because you're experiencing things you are for a reason, and to help others, Absolutely. And so, and both of us had to go through our own journey to get to where we are today. And we just say that it doesn't have to be as painful, as long as just sometimes like difficult as we went through. It can be much easier. So and we're just here to and we're both like in the same place where we really love ourselves and love others for who they are, but we can see what their soul really is, not the stuff on,
not the the poisonality.
Exactly, all that, yeah, exactly. Because it's all like, it's kind of like, your clothing, it's just like all hidden. Your soul is hidden in there, but other people can see it. So we see that potential, and we see that it's possible, and we see that you can heal, or you can heal your loved one through you from anything, like anything, and not to let like anyone else tell you, like, again, diagnosis, okay, like you have this, but prognosis, you cannot let anybody tell you that. You have all the power to change everything about you, and it's all the person can do that. But during the process, it's really nice to have people that love you, support you, and encourage you to get to that place. And I think every single one of us who goes through the healing needs that. Like, that's the power.
Yeah. And I can vouch for that because Ellen and I, we set up a community where people just share, and there's the huge benefit of the community is that people, you know, they don't feel alone when they're going through
Yes.
some really difficult transformation or through challenges. But what you both downloaded, because it was like a download, and I think how long were you trying to figure out what to do? But actually when it was clear, the download came in like 1 hour, right?
Yeah, we both were like, we talked about it, and then within a day, everything was ready. And it
But
was
before that, it was like how many years of talking about it?
about a year, you know, but we just know each other for about a year, and it just feels so strange because it feels like forever.
It feels strange, yeah.
Yeah, and but it's just both of us all of a sudden when we were meditating, when we were, you know, when like Toni was walking her dog and I was doing something random, like all of a sudden all these ideas like nonstop started coming, and then I, you know, we just put the ideas together. We both took notes and sent to each other, and then I just kind of start writing, and then we worked on it together, and it was just like done, like finished, like within a day in total.
You created even a class. So can you tell us, who are you going to help and what can they expect? So is it like a specific group? Like we're talking about marketing, right? Which segment are we going to target? Who are your ideal clients? Who are the people that you would love to welcome, that, you know, to be in this community?
Would you like me to say?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say that I'm so thankful for all the love that I received from Selen, from her mom, from Betsy, who is our homeopath, who basically introduced us to each other.
Hi, Betsy, we love you.
And they have a major part of my healing because they showed me and their love every single day. When I needed the most, they were texting me, they were calling me, they were assuring me that I'll be helping other people in the future, I'll be healed, I'll be fine. And feeling loved was what actually was giving me strength to keep fighting and fighting in that moment. And that was even before I had my mystical experience. They were there for me. And Betsy is one of them who also told me, same as she did to Selen, that one day I'm going to do something magical and I'll be helping people. And I really believed her. So I'm so thankful to them. And Selen's mom, she's amazing. Like she was texting me and she believed in me and in my power. So the reason we decided to do that class, and the class is for everybody who is going through challenges. And nowadays we all are facing some challenges. Some of us emotional, some of us have challenges with our health. So the reason Selen and I decided to create that class is because we know how much all those people who are facing and who are going through challenges need to be loved. So this is the best.
Maybe I'll join. I need love.
Of course.
We all do.
And as I said, love heals everything. So we did the class with the intention of spreading more love and basically enlighten the people, empower the people, and reminding them how powerful they are, that our beliefs are the ones that create our reality. And we'll be there to help them change their beliefs and remember who they really are and how powerful they are, and that they're the creators of their lives. And just the two of us as a proof that everything is possible when you believe it.
And
Absolutely.
also the other thing is that when people are going through some kind of change, like overcoming themselves, like changing their literally their personalities, you know, it's lonely because people, if you're not surrounded by people who also do that, it's all of a sudden people around you will start saying, oh, you're not the same anymore, or this or that. So it's just it's lonely. I think we both were lucky because we had people around us to support and love us, and not everybody is lucky enough, especially now that more people are, you know, the socialization is limited and everything, and we just really need this more than ever. So we believe that that's part of the power, like to keep going. And it's okay, you can lose people, because we do, you know, I did lose people along the way for sure. Some people just didn't relate to me anymore, which was fine. But I also made amazing other friends, like that I will never give anything for, you know, like it's just a beautiful thing. And I just basically am surrounded with people that I'm aligned with. that's the important thing. And until people get to that stage, so we are there to love them, and with you know, hopefully creating a community like that, they can just continue with the friendship, kind of like you guys are doing. You know, it's just so it's beautiful, because the community is really, really important on just helping, aligning, keeping going. Even once you are healed and done, just like the way we are, you still need these people around you. You still need loving, empowering people, not the ones like, you know, you just need love.
Because I think when we first spoke, I think I felt that there was something to do with people who have physical challenges,
Yes.
so pain or some kind of chronic disease, but also people who have challenges because they have kids that have challenges, right?
Mainly,
So,
yes. Mainly, that's our aim. Yes.
Yeah. And both of you are energy healers. So you're like a theta healer, but you have a child psychology study. You wrote a book about, you know, children's psychology. You worked in that field.
About ecological living. It's a different thing. It's all different fields.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Toni, you are a Reiki healer, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So both of you had your own practices before, and then you just wanted to combine it and help people, to support people. Yeah.
So we're planning on because you don't know, like, you know, we don't know who really, how much people know about this process. So we prepared like a class. So we'll be teaching them how this works, and also like doing some energy work. So Reiki and Theta combine, or meditation. So we just feel that it's just gonna help them, because we basically, some things are really not coming from us. Some things that we are carrying are coming from our family.
I don't know about you, Ellen, but I'm gonna join because I want that energy that made me cry. Like they were good tears, by the way. They were like really about this amazing energy that was like just
like a knowing. It's
like not just like, oh yeah, there's love in the world, we are loved. No, I felt it.
Natural state. It's home.
Yeah. So how can people find you? Because when they go to our event page, and when we actually upload the video, we will also put the Facebook group that you guys created. And we also have your Facebook page, Selen, which is called Free Soul. But I think you're probably working on something else, some other material. So what is in the pipeline? I mean, you're gonna start with a class, and then you have a support group, and just to spread a lot of energy in the support group. But what else do you think is going to be exciting for you to inspire people? Are you going to write a book together? I know I already saw like an Instagram story of both of you. I mean, is it going to be a YouTube channel? Are you going to interview people? What's going to happen?
We're not there yet, but you know, we probably will. I don't know, but it's open. Like all the possibilities are open. We're open to receive.
What is coming to me is if you guys start supporting people, and you have a critical mass of, I think, a lot of stories, it will be the anecdotes of the healing stories.
Well, just put that possibility in us.
That's what
everything's possible.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. So anyways, I don't know whether Ellen, is there something that I overlooked?
No, we asked all questions were answered, and I feel like we're clear on the work. The links are important for people to be able to easily access, so we'll make sure to get those to you. And we're just so in awe of you, and I think everyone felt the energy that we felt, the unconditional love, the home. There's a difference between what we were talking about, like the feeling of when you're being sucked back into a program that's familiar, but the unconditional love, that's home. It's way more familiar, but the familiar feelings sometimes it takes a little distinction, but what you're talking about, that's home, and it's so beautiful. And I'm just so impressed, and so I hope everyone felt what we felt. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. So we'll make sure that we'll upload the video, and so we'll share it, and you can share it with your clients as well. or your community. And, you know, we know that the right people will come here and that you'll impact many, many lives. Like, you know, Selen has already impacted my life, and definitely, you know, Toni has impacted my life just by hearing her speak and her saying, you know, I just felt this love, and I was like, wow, that love, I need to connect with it, or it's probably already in me, I just need to allow it in, you know. And also this being grateful for the challenges, you know, the challenges are something that are pushing us to grow, to pushing us to evolve. And really, yeah, I know that a lot of people watching this interview, they will have gotten so much out of it, because you guys were vulnerable, you guys did the work, you guys didn't give up. And I think also, Toni, what I remember you were saying during that coherence healing, when you gave that testimony, you said, I did the work for 10 years. Some people, sometimes they think, oh, why isn't it happening now? You just have to continue. Just like me, I'm continuing doing the work. Doesn't matter what's going on. There's no stopping me, you know, because I know there's something so beautiful on the other side, and I'm already living it. But it's like, you know, but you know, when do we actually know we're finished? Well, we don't know. We have no clue.
Just when you want to quit, that's when the magic happens. So you never know. Don't quit.
That's so true.
That's so true.
And it's so worth it. That magic is
So
worth it.
Yeah, and that's always the answer. It's always worth it. Those 10 years, so worth it.
I don't believe in quitting, by the way. Yeah.
And honestly, Angelique, I'm not sure if it was a mystical experience or I just allowed the universe to feel what the universe has.
So you didn't have like beings come to you, or, you know, you didn't have these geometric figures or whatever. No. You didn't have somebody tap you on your shoulder, all of that stuff.
No.
I get those.
Yes, Selen gets more of those. No, mine was just that amazing feeling. Just I didn't feel my body, and I felt so connected. Like I believe that was the moment I was allowing, because before I surrendered, but as Selen said, I never trusted. So that was the moment of surrender and trust, and just allowing the universe to show me its love. Just I could feel the love of the universe. Yeah, it wasn't like a mystical, like magic, like those beings and stuff, but it was the feeling. Like I was seeing only blackness and the stars, and I was connected to everything and everyone.
Wow.
Without ayahuasca, without weed and things like that, boys and girls. So
you don't need those.
No, yeah, well, you know, I always make jokes of people like that do that, but you know, who am I? I'm just very biased. You do that stuff? You're so Dutch. You're so Dutch.
I don't. Yeah, well, yeah. I don't judge or anything. I just feel like you don't need them. Although I don't know. I didn't experience them, so maybe it gets better with them.
Yeah. Yes.
I did that long before I started meditating.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I need to do that stuff. Who knows? You know, maybe it will.
It's so easy to do it there in Amsterdam, right? I went there and I didn't even do it.
Yeah.
I would rather spend money on like a big course, like studying with you guys, than spend it on drugs, to be honest. Like, no way. No. I really want to thank everybody, your love, and the mother of Selen for raising such a beautiful daughter. She's like helping so many people just by being herself. And Toni, your story, and, you know, of course, your beautiful Betsy, who believed in you, who saw things before they happened. I want a card reading with you, Betsy. I don't know what it is you do.
she also was the possibility for my mom's healing, because my mom also healed from fibromyalgia, and Betsy gave her that. She was her only hope. The first person who basically said you can heal, because nobody else did say that. So
does Betsy also heal love lives?
Betsy heals everything.
Oh, Betsy, you know, and you guys as well.
She can see the future. Yes, she sees the future of all of us.
Yes, she could see it. Yeah.
Oh, then I'm not sure
She's
I want to
magic.
see Betsy.
She's magic.
But I think, so thank you so much for all your love. And those of you who are watching this, please feel free to connect with Selen or Toni and connect with them. You know, we highly recommend these ladies. They're the real deal. Of course, healing is our own process. Transformation is our own process. When you join a group, you know, we can lead you to the water, but we have to drink the water. And as we heard, we have to give up certain behaviors. We have to stop listening to the seductive limousine coming up with the victim ride and say, oh yeah, this is my ride. I'm just going to jump in the back and I'm going to be the victim again. No.
Because it's a better car coming with the better stuff inside behind that.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
maybe
maybe
it's so much better with support, because you're constantly going to be seduced by these old patterns and behaviors, and when there's just this community of people you can reach out to and these beautiful women for support, it's just so important. I don't think I can ever state how important it is to have people around you who understand you and who will not let you give up.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just invaluable, really invaluable.
Absolutely.
Well, we thank you both, because you just are wonderful, and I love you very much. And I'm so grateful that we just connected. It's a flamingo, and we'll always be flamingos,
Forever,
right?
Oh, forever flamingos.
Forever.
We are the flamingo
And adopted
lovebirds.
flamingos.
Yes. We are pretty strong.
Thank you both for all your love and effort and support that we are receiving from you. Thank you. It's amazing gift you can give to us.
We hope that you reach the right people, and we already know it already happened. So yeah, thank you so much. And thank you everybody for being here. Lots of love. Till the next interview. Bye.
Thank you.
Women, love you all.
Love you.
Bye.
I love you. Bye.